by Rich. Call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilwoman Natalie Lopez.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I'd like to take a moment of silence for us to give to Mr. Ernest Free's family. It became knowledge that he has passed away, so I just would like to take a couple of seconds for us to remember him and his family and everything they gave up as a result of public service. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle,
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez,
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis,
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard,
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter,
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry,
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here. Thank you. First item agenda is public comment. I'll remind you, no back and forth. It's a 3-minute time limit. And please put your cell phones off or on vibrate. And we have 2 comment cards tonight. Mike Barra speaking on agenda item number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilman.
Thank you.
Some questions have been asked by some of the councilmen as to what Iberia Parish Crime Stoppers is accomplishing, and are we doing anything to curb crime? Not to curb it, but to cure it. When we started off officially on May 1st, we had 2 telephone calls on Crime Stop line. In June, we had 10. July was 25. And in August, we got 26. Of those, we arrested 5 people. We solved for the IPSO 14 different cases that they were working on. And we recommended over $1,400 in rewards. Is it working? Yes. Is it working as well as we should have it working? No. People are still reluctant, that they don't believe that it is anonymous. And when you call 364-8477, we can't see who's calling. We don't want to see who's calling. One was asked by me, or somebody asked me, what if I have to be a witness? I said, who are you? We don't know you. How can you be a witness? How can anybody subpoena you if you're unknown? Well, that's the whole thing. You remain anonymous. Back in the 70s, you had marijuana, or the 60s. When the 70s started coming around, you had hard drugs that came into play. And that is the background of criminal activity right now, is the drug trafficking. Too many guns, illegally, that's another problem. Shootings are rampant, it's another problem. Well, we want to find out who's doing all of that. And to do that, we need help from publicity on the council, the parish, Generette, Delcom, etc., to let them know this is a legitimate business to get criminals off the streets. All you have to do is call us, 364-8477 or 364-TIPS. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for what you do. We have one more comment card. Mr. Michael Bell, also speaking on agenda item 8.
Hello. First, I'd like to say thanks for having me here. And I would like to say, take a second and to bless the people in Houston and Port Arthur who have going through so much right now. because they need our prayers. First, I would like to say, Mayor, thank you and Miss Cheryl Gidry for attending our grand opening on Hopkins Street, Iberia, because that was a positive thing, and we appreciate that fully. And I have to agree with the man that just left here. I'm coming here, and I thank you, Ms. Mull, for bringing it up. Thank you very much. With solutions. And I'm sure you know me by now, Mayor. I've been bringing this up for years. The key to this is community policing and proper policing. Like I said, I had the good fortune, people, to work in the city of San Francisco with the police department, where people felt free to express themselves. We have young, intelligent, bright, young officers that have some solutions. We need to hear from them. Maybe they can give us some solution to help this problem. But community policing is so important. What we did was, in the area that needed, this is not favoritism, this is just area that needs it, we would meet with the people, the taxpayers in our community. We just didn't know the little thugs. We knew the taxpayers, the old lady that sits on the porch, and that police department would hold a meeting once or twice a month with community people in the community leaders. And so, in that effort, the police department felt good about us. They felt free to express themselves, and the elderly and the people in the community felt good about bringing that information to the police department. But if we don't get our act together, it is not getting any better, people. You know, my grandchildren left to go to Atlanta, and it hurts me so much, simply because where we live, because I feared for them. They're in Atlanta. But we shouldn't have to do that. The elderly people shouldn't have to run to their mailbox because they're taxpayers. People shouldn't say, well, hey, I can't sell my house, a house that's solid in Cyprus. They can't get $20,000. We can't get businesses in the Western area simply because of that. If we stop the loitering, that's already on the book, things can happen. I see great things. I was born and raised here. My mother and father had 10 children. And we were raised right. We didn't do anything wrong. And we were raised in the West End area. And if you think about it, people have they stereotype the West End, and we need to really talk about things like that. My mother always used to tell me, one thing about a right, you can only make it better, but you can't make it wrong. So those are the things that we need to work hard to work together, and we can do it as a people. I don't want to leave here. It hurt me to see my little grandchildren leave. And I would tell my daughter, it's going to get better, but it can't get better until we have good policing. That's why I ask the people, think about the taxes. Think about those things. And don't be selfish. But sometimes you have to do things to make things better. And again, I know I have to close. And remember, like I told you before, Mayor, if you let a sore that's infected on your finger fester, it could be in your neighborhood. Sooner or later, it's going to explode. It's going to spread. Thank you very much.
All right, agenda item number 2, acceptance of the minutes.
Acceptance of the minutes of the August 1st, 2017 meeting as published on August 11th, 2017, and acceptance of the minutes of the August 15, 2017 meeting as published on August 24th, 2017.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the first one?
Motion.
Motion by, who's that?
Sherry.
Councilmember Sherry Gidry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis. Do we have any discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank you. Now we'll do the minutes from the next meeting, item B. Do I have a motion?
Okay.
Did you read?
Yeah, I read it.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do I have a second? Second. Councilmember Broussard. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, persons to address the council. We have none. We'll be moving to item number 4. Madam Clerk?
2016-2017 budget to set for public hearing. Resolution ordering a public hearing to be set October 17th, 2017, at City Council Chambers, 5:30 p.m. for the purpose of public comment on the proposed 2017-2018 City of New Iberia operating budget. Budget meetings are Tuesday, September 12th, 2017 at 5:30 and Wednesday, September 13th, 2017 at 5:30.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Swear. And do we have any discussion on this? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Great, we're having budget hearings. All right, now we go to.
Yeah, one question.
Yes.
Will you be getting any, the budget
Yes.
for that
Yes.
to us?
The budget books will be put together on Friday, so I'll get them to y'all, with the storm kind of pushed back a
Okay.
couple days.
But a few days
But
before.
yes,
Okay.
as soon as I can, like I said, they'll be bound on Friday. I'll get them to call y'all. Y'all can pick them up on Friday or Monday at the latest, but, I know you need to have them.
Thank you.
Great. Any further discussion? Cool. Moving on to item 5. Madam Clerk?
Recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission. A recommendation to revoke the dedication of a portion of Juniper Street right-of-way as requested by Kevin and Karen Broussard at 712 Evergreen and David and Julia Rowan, 712 Evergreen Drive.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Swear and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. Do we have any discussion on this item?
I would like to say something.
Yes.
Mayor, I would like to thank Jane and her board for going through what we had to do this. This is something we don't do often. We did it a couple times down that street, and it had a right-of-way involved with Clico that she was able to get them involved and put that into this resolution. And I just want to thank them because it was something that got kind of complicated at one point. And but she made it all work out. And I want to explain to people is a couple people called me and they thought Jupiter goes all the way from Evergreen to Oak Manor, but it's only from Evergreen to the field. It doesn't affect the Jupiter that goes to Oak Manor. That's still it'll be a public street. But I want to thank you for doing that, Jane, because I know it was a lot. It's something so simple, but it's going to help the neighbors so much to take care of their area. Thank you.
Further discussion? Yes.
Being that it is in my district, I want to reflect on what Mr. Dahl said. We both attended the meeting, and like you said, it was a little confusing at first, but being that we went through it step by step, and the people here tonight went through the protocol like they were supposed to, everything fell in line. So I wanted to just let you know that I was at a meeting in support of what they were trying to do.
Great. Good. Any further discussion? I'll ask you to vote your machines. Great. Good. Thank y'all. Item number 6.
Executive session. A motion to postpone the executive session for discussion of settlement of claim with Orrin Chance Wilder and Jean James Wilder.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Lopez. Do I have a second? Second. Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. Do we have any discussion? Yes.
I mean, it's
We're going to defer it till a later date?
no, yeah, I know, but I didn't know if
Okay. Hey, all right.
if he was gonna touch it or not,
Right.
touch on it or not. We're just
No.
it.
We don't have agreements to approve at this point.
Yeah, and so we're just working on it, and when we feel we're at a place where it's worth having a big discussion.
You have the last update.
Yeah, yeah, I have been updated, and we're just not to a point where it's really worth it to go and have a big discussion because we're missing a lot of pieces to have the discussion. So that's kind of where we are. It's a true story.
Councilmember,
So we're just motioning to
to defer it. Right, we're going to wait till we
defer.
have something to
It's
act
not
on.
like we're tabling.
We're not tabling it. We're going to act on it. We just need more information to act on. As
Continued without date, like we say in court.
Great. Well, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 7.
Property standards, revisit 514 Persian Street in New Iberia.
All right, Jimmy.
All right.
Tell us the story.
The house is going to be coming down.
They had a few little issues with the removal of the gas line. It was on the side of the house. They're going through asbestos abatement right now. As soon as they get the test results back, whether it has asbestos or not, then we'll move forward from there. That's where it's at. L&K is contracted to do the job, so I'm sure it's gonna be done.
Okay. And there's no motion to make, there's nothing legally for us to do, it's already been done.
Not unless you want to revisit it in 30 days.
Well, maybe we should. Whose district is this?
It's my district.
That's what I thought.
Ms. Sherry.
Ms.
Yes,
Sherry?
we can revisit it in 30 days just to check on the progress on what has been made.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Jimmy.
you're welcome.
That's a motion?
I motion to revisit it in 30 days.
Great. Do I have a
Thank
second?
you.
Second.
Second by Mulder. Do we have any further discussion?
Oh, I got another question.
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy, on IPMC Section 304, under the condemnation inspection report, what does that mean?
Exterior paint.
It means exterior paint?
Yeah, it's the exterior of the structure.
Okay,
And the weatherization, paint,
okay.
things
I
like
just
that.
had a little question mark and I didn't know
Yeah.
what that was. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, vote your machines. We'll revisit in 30 days. Great. All right, now we go on to items for discussion. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Marlon Lewis, discussing crime issues and gun violence.
Mr. Lewis.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Put this on the agenda pretty much to get just what we got tonight. People to come out and speak about it. This is an issue that we don't want to forget about. New Iberia, I heard Mr. Mike talking. Man, I thank you for that profound dissertation of growing up in New Iberia and the way that you envision our city, you know. My district borders Hopkins Street, a state highway, which will soon be a city street. But it's a main corridor into our city. It's a main corridor in our city, and at this point, when I'm starting to hear that I don't want to pass down Hopkins Street, you know, because of the gun shots all during the day. You know, I don't want us to forget as a council some of the issues that we're having with gun violence. Since we last talked about crime and gun, I think it was 3 murders. 3 murders. Not to mention people. I'm hearing from people 2 or 3 times a month. A bullet went through their house. One guy was in his bathtub, and the bullet was literally, I don't know, inches away from where he was. Now, the question is, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't know what to do. Can't go out and take guns out of people's hands. I heard Mr. Mike talk about the progression, you know, from 1960 marijuana, 1970 hallucinogens, to 1980 to cocaine and crack cocaine, 1990 becoming an epidemic in every neighborhood, even to where we had to, you know, put police officers in schools, you know, to the 2000s. Now we have guns and drugs, and that's a bad mixture. And in my opinion, you know, again, we know that we have a big vote coming up with the police department, tax. And in my opinion, this is in my opinion, every problem relative to crime takes police interaction, police intervention. You know, I don't care. I looked at some of the numbers, and you know, being a new council person, I hadn't quite learned how to read all these budgetary numbers and stuff. So, but at the end of the day, I had to go back to just common sense, good common practical sense. Those numbers will not save our citizens. Those dollars that we're trying to save will not save our citizens. They will not save our citizens. They will not save our businesses. But what will save our, and like Mr. Mike used the term, and I forgot what it was. He said, I'm gonna use eradicate. I was telling people we're gonna try to eradicate crime, and that's gonna be impossible. You know, all we can do is try and curb crime. But if we don't have a direct connection to a police agency that our mayor, through this council, can go and say, hey mayor, we need attention over here. Hey mayor, we need attention over there. You see, I can't help but going back to getting this tax passed so that we can get a police department. I watched councils in the past. Y'all remember my grandfather was in the city council in 1989, and I saw them interact with the police department. I've never saw a successful council, or a successful city without a police department, you know. So like I say, numbers are great, but if you start equating numbers to people all the time, you're gonna lose some people. And when I say people, I'm not just talking to death. We're gonna lose some people population-wise. You know, people not gonna wanna live here. You know, Mr. Mike was saying you can't sell your house. You know, you can't buy a house. You know, in a neighborhood where gun violence is rampant. You know, so again, I've been reading books. This book I bought over at one of our Neighbor Works conferences, Somebody Do Something. This lady in Omaha, Nebraska, who I had the privilege of meeting, she wrote a book about gun violence in her community. And what made her come with the title, she said she was on her knees praying for her family. She had already been involved. And she said after she got off her knees and went and watched the news, a 4-month-old baby got shot in her community while the mother was holding it. So, you know, what is it going to take for us to get some law enforcement in our community so we can try to curb some of this gun violence? And we have more than just gun violence. We got break-ins, we got vandalism. You know, we have a lot of issues in our community, but I'm really concerned about the gun violence. And I'm gonna tell y'all, and I know everybody on this table would not have ran for city council and would not still be here. Mr. Dan, you've been here a while. We would not still be here if we didn't care about this city. But we have to learn to care about this whole city. And I'm gonna tell you, let's be real. Most of the crime, most of the gun violence is happening on the West End. It's happening downtown. You know, let's be real. You know? So the thing is with me, when I sit down and I think, I don't like to write stuff down, because when I write it down, especially about an issue that I'm close to my heart, writing it down, it's not real. But I did think about something today. Right now, and we hear it, especially us people in the barber shops and, you know, all the places where people frequent and talk. We hear it. Well, they're just killing each other right now. Or we're just killing each other right now. But what's going to happen when they say, you know what, let's stop killing each other and let's go and take over the town? And we know they literally can't do that, you know. And then at that point, we're going to want the city police, we're going to want the sheriff department, we're going to want the state troopers, then we're going to want the National Guard to come in. But we can put a stop to this right now by being proactive, getting us a police department, getting us some community groups. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm with Omega Psi Phi. I'm not a member of that group. I'm with Ministers Bible Study. I'm a member at my church, neighborhood associations, and everybody's saying the same thing. We need to get out there and do some work, but nobody wants to go without backup from law enforcement. And I respect that. The guys at Ministers say, man, we ain't going out there, man. You know, how do we get, you know, law enforcement? And don't get me wrong, the sheriff office have been cooperative. They've helped us in some of our initiatives. But man, I feel so much comfortable and so much safe if we had our own police department to get some of these initiatives moved concerning gun violence and crime. I just put it on the table. If you notice, I didn't come up with a solution. That's why I put it on the council floor, so that we can put our heads together, whether we pass the tax or not. And I would love to see the tax pass, excuse me. But we have to start thinking about how we're going to change our city and get this black eye off our city. New Iberia ain't bad. I defend it all the time. People say, oh man, they're doing all that in New Iberia. I'm like, they're doing all that in Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Abbeville, and everywhere else. But we can be better. We can be better. That's all I have on that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Broussard.
I'm a little different. I wrote down my statement. I found some big words I need to use. It is startling to recognize that in New Iberia today, tranquility is constantly sought through indifference, through business as usual, through the infectious skill of seeing but not seeing, and seeing but not acting. And finally, through the remarkable deception of I got this big word,
Exoneration.
exoneration from any complicity in the problems of crime in Iberia today. My point is the people of Iberia, when they see something, they need to say something. Call Iberia Crime Stoppers, 364-8477 or 364-TIPS. Get involved. We're behind schedule. We're behind schedule. It got out of hand. Sherry, it goes back from the home. We need to get programs back on board from the young and carry them on as many as we can to get this thing going. You know, so things you brought up, Ms. Sherry, kids, things in school, we need to work on. So that's my statement. I'm sorry I had a rough word with that exoneration.
Got it now.
But I mean it from the heart.
I know you got it.
We have to get it together.
Thank you, Mr. Broussard. Further comments? Yes.
Like Mr. Broussard, I write my thoughts down as well, and I'm passionate about it, and I do believe what the Bible says, that whatever is in the heart, the mouth speaks. So as my mouth speaks, or God gives it to me, I'll write it down. So I'm going to read mine on what God gave me. I want to thank, first of all, the men and women in blue from the Sheriff Department that put their lives on the line each and every single day for us to remain safe. As you all know, public safety affects the quality of lives here and also for all of our communities. And it also has an impact on our local dollars and our local economy. It affects small new businesses that want to come to New Iberia. Therefore, it is all of our social responsibility to choose wisely concerning effective law enforcement. And we all know law enforcement cannot be in all places at all times. Therefore, I want to thank the Sheriff Department for what they tried to do, what they're doing presently. But however, in recent events, it was already said earlier, there has been a killing when Hurricane Harvey came through, a killing on Canal Street before the victim was shot. He allegedly went around shooting up the town before he was killed. Shootings in the air on Ann Street. One of our local and loyal businesses that have been here for years in the city of New Iberia and whom is still standing. When I was a little girl, we used to shop there to go get our packs of meat. And it has been robbed or broken into 3 times within 30 days. Recently on Ivan Street, down in the downtown area, a house has been broken into and alleged items has been taken. It has been TVs, air conditioners, and a .22 caliber handgun. I agree with Mr. Mike Barra that it's very important that our citizens feel safe, and it is anonymous. And the more we campaign on the fact that it is anonymous, people are going to start to feel more safer to call it and believe it is anonymous. I said all this to remind our citizens that we are grateful to our Sheriff Department, but we still need more policing and more law enforcers for more coverage. And in order to do that, we must consider our future concerning the trending crime. We need more law enforcers on the ground, community policing in larger numbers, which provides a strategic and an increase of coverage for our city and for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Yes.
I'm gonna just talk about a couple things.
I guess, this topic has been on the table for me for a long time. So I've, talked myself in circles and in circles with other people. And I pretty much have the way I feel about it. I have my basis for it. It's an opinion, it's just my personal opinion. But I like to share it because sometimes sharing your opinion gives other people the opportunity to add to your opinion and get your brain thinking. My number one thing when people are thinking about our safety and the town, the way it's going, and population, what's going to happen, my number one thing as a mother of 2 young kids is kids. The kids are out of control. Some of the parents are out of control. And they're just not growing up with the morals that even, I grew up with, and it was kind of loose because I'm younger, but there's a lot of bullying going on in the schools. There's a lot of violence. Kids, there was a gun brought to my son's school last year. It's an elementary school. So, I really think we need to focus on the kids. I have spoken with Mr. Henderson, and I'm waiting to have another meeting with him to see about getting some social workers into these elementary schools, even if it is part-time, to get a person that these children can connect with that isn't just trained to teach or be a principal, someone who's trained to understand what's going on with the child and why are they acting like this. And so I think it starts with them because they are the future of who is going to live here. So if we don't fix them, then, we're just helping keep the cycle operating the way it is. The second thing that I'm going to touch on is the fact of my position with the Public Defender's Office. Being in all 3 parishes, I run a lot of data, a lot of stats, and unfortunately I have to say that business is booming. The crime is not going down. Our caseloads are not going down. I monitor all our caseloads every year and all the assignment of the cases, and it's not going down. So therefore, we have no deterrence in place. There's nothing working to get the number back down. And that's not a bash on anyone, but the system is broken because the crime rate's not dropping. And then the last thing I have is my sales pitch of it all. I've talked to Mayor DeCourt, and he has his pamphlet, and he's going to be reaching out to the public and trying to educate everyone as much as possible. But when people ask me, Natalie, what do you think? Do you think the tax is going to pass? I'm there, I don't know. Well, they say, well, what's your opinion on it? And my opinion of it is double-sided. For the lower income and the medium income families that live in this city, my question to them is, do you trust these people up here at this table with your money? Do you trust us to give you a different type of protection, to give you a different type of experience? That's what we want to give you. We're not doing this to make money. We're not going to make money off of it. We're doing it to enhance your quality of life. So do you trust us to give you that opportunity? And my question to my higher income residents here in New Iberia is, and I'm not bashing Jeanerette, but I grew up with a lot of friends in Jeanerette, and I watched Jeanerette decline. I watched my friends' families move out, the parents move out, and I watched their property value drop, to 60, $80 a square foot to $60 a square foot. Is that what you want? My higher income people, is that what you want? Do you want your property value to slowly decline because the quality of life is declining? So those are my 2 things. I'm not pro-tax, but I just feel like the crime's not reducing. We gotta do something or do nothing. But doing nothing means that we are gambling with the future of your real estate value, and we're gambling with the future of your quality of life here. So that's my take on it. That's gonna be my take on it till voting day. But as always, I'll appreciate whatever decision everybody makes.
Well said. Dustin.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I do have a couple of comments, but I could sit here until I'm blue in the face, talk all night about this one topic, 'cause we've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Since January, Mayor, you've been going past that, talking about it for a long
Keep
time.
talking.
So, Marlon, I agree with you a lot, with what you had to say. I represent District 6. A lot of the shootings don't happen in District 6. But when it comes to New Iberia, my heart is with New Iberia. So I care about each and every one district, not just District 6 when it comes down to this particular item that we've been dealing with. So, and also, as when it comes to taxes, I hate paying taxes. Everybody hates paying
Yeah,
taxes.
it does.
It's a part of life. It's not just a localized thing. It's national. It's on a global level. But it's not also just about the tax. It's about public safety and keeping our citizens safe, keeping our kids safe. So when it comes to passing a tax for a PD, I want to keep our people safe. So it's not just about the tax. So we got to look at it on a deeper level. And yeah, like Natalie said, I'm not a pro-tax person, but when it comes to this item, you know, I support it all day long, and I'm not ashamed to say it. So, but I want to make that clear. My heart is not just with District 6 when it comes to the shootings and all the violence that's we're having right now. So Marlon, I appreciate you bringing it. Like what I said a while back, it's like a broken record. We've been talking about it for a long time. So let's do something about it. Let's get it done. Let's educate the people to get out there in October and get things done. And hopefully we can start moving in the right direction that we've been pushing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Peter. I'll let everybody go. Sure.
At the town hall meeting this morning, it was, I heard a story our DAs told us about, and it rang true that back when New Iberia had a police department, crimes were being solved because people would call a police officer that they knew and trusted and told them what happened and who did it, and crimes were solved. We don't have that now. We don't have any one-on-one communication between our sheriff department and a whole lot of the community. We just don't. So bringing the police department back, and which I know our mayor, made the presentation this morning, and that's what he wants to do in bringing the police department back, making it community policing. You have to know your community, be there for them, and gain the trust, so that when something happens, those things can be solved because people are willing to say what happened because they trust you. It's a trust issue between police department, the sheriff's department, and the community. They don't trust the sheriff's department, so, which is sad. And we do have Crime Stoppers, which is totally anonymous, which they have that opportunity. But bringing the police department back, I think, honestly and truly, it would bring that trust factor back between law enforcement and the community, which is needed to bring our community back to where it was. And that's all I have to say. So I'm definitely in favor of bringing our police department back with the tax. And I don't like taxes either, just like everybody else. But, you get what you pay for. And you have to pay for it some kind of way.
I guess I'll be the last. Since I'm the-
I'll go last.
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor. Well, how many times they said it today? I was here prior and I'm here now. It's up to the people to decide. But we all said it. We're just going to make the families and the children responsible. I don't care what police department you have, you need that first. And I'm glad Natalie talked about the school system, about making the family responsible for the activities of their children. If half the stuff that goes on now when I was young, I wouldn't be here. Because my dad took, and I got in trouble in school, I got more trouble at home. That's a big problem, not only here, but throughout the other areas. It's a family net that they don't have like we had. What's gonna make that change? I don't know. I believe, I don't care what police officers you have or if it's the state troopers, until that family comes together and be responsible And when someone does something in your family, make them accountable. Now they do everything for them not to be accountable. You know, first thing I remember I was going back to school, my dad was pretty strict. When I got in trouble, he never said what you did. He went to school, got it from them, and I got in trouble at home again. These days, I think they protect the children so much, they don't understand the real world. And monies are getting taken from the state, from the feds, for these programs that we used to have way back then. We don't have that now for the kids that get in trouble, to let them know about what do we do there. I think the picture's a lot larger than a police department, but it's up to the people to make the decision. But it's up to the people to get involved. And Crime Stoppers, like Mr. Mike said, let me just tell you, we had in the past, that's a great thing. And it's about trust. When you're telling people you can call this number, no one can find out about it, we can't get the trust of the grown-ups to do it, much less the children. But I think it's a great start with Crime Stoppers. And you know, when you see it on TV, just like our representative that got elected, he was up there promoting that in St. Landry Parish. And it does make you look. And the person they have doing it for y'all, let me tell you, he's got a voice that catches your attention when he says about a crime that's happening. And I think that's a good start. As you mentioned, 5 people have been arrested, 14. I mean, that's a big deal for something that started just a few months ago. And I want to applaud you and your efforts of your board. I know you got a great board, because without that, I don't think we even start going in the right direction. But I think, and I hope Mr. Dale, like Natalie talked about, doing something in the school system. We need to start at home, you know, because you know, my mom always said, my dad, I can tell you the way you act who you've been with. And right now, the children or the kids don't want you to know who they've been with. So I think we need to start there, Mayor.
Okay, that's a good point.
Thank you.
Okay, wait, everybody spoke once, and then I think Councilwoman Guidry, you had something else?
I just had a bottom line thing. You all have all spoken what I wanted to say. So lastly, I think I can safely say on behalf of this entire council, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, any one of you, that we support the town hall meetings that's going to be coming up. And I would like to see some of our council members there supporting our mayors. If you are concerned about crime, you will be there too as well. Thank you.
Great.
I got a question, maybe someone can answer this, hopefully somebody can. Where are the programs that we did have when we were kids growing up? Dare, that's one. The after-school program we had with the city. Where are those programs now?
They've been
And
unfunded.
what are the reasons for
They've
them?
been unfunded.
Why are they going?
Yeah.
That's,
Money from the state had a lot to do with it.
well, I'd like to see those back.
Two.
Well,
All right.
I had a problem. We'll talk
Yes.
about it later. No, he's talking.
something?
No, I mean, we talked. The DARE was the sheriff's office.
Correct.
The after-school program was us, but we have talked about some things, and you know, and like I said, I'm talking to Mr. Henderson and trying to open the door there. But I think there's, like, it was the after-school program went away right before I came, but it was very, very expensive. But there's other ways we could maybe sponsor, like I said, sponsor children to be able to go to the aftercare program at school, because it's really not that expensive and it's a great program, as opposed to funding our whole operation.
Great. Well, this has been an open, really good discussion, and I just want to invite everybody on Thursday night. Oh, Mr. Lewis.
One quick
Sure.
program, JTPA. We called it Manpower.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Underprivileged kids were able to work in the city parks,
We
in
hired
the
some people.
schools, and
My company hired
kept
some
us off
people.
the street.
Cool.
That's another one we need to change.
Cool. Thursday night is our first town hall meeting at the West End at 6 o'clock. We've got 2 more coming after that. We've been holding some here. We're meeting with churches. We're making the rounds. It's on our website, my 21-page proposal. We have a Facebook. We're putting it out there. This is just shootings. This is a year and a half of shootings. Okay, only shootings. I got a pile for other crimes too. But if that doesn't get your attention that, you know, we have issues. We're putting this on the agenda is not, here it is. Our tax we're asking for, it's 50 cents on $100. It's a half-cent tax. You spend $100, you owe city government 50 cents. 50 cents. okay? What we have the opportunity to do is to change our community. What we have an opportunity to do is to put us back on the path of prosperity. Every new business, you know where I got these? Every new business that comes in says, one of my developers came in January and said, have you looked at your crime? Now, we've added to it since then, but said, have you looked at your crime issues? It's a real issue. I'm the guy, along with this council, along with my staff, you know, we're trying to sell this place. We're trying to bring new businesses. We're having some successes. We got a long way to go, though. We're trying to bring new jobs and new opportunities and improve our quality of life. And to do that, we got to address all of these issues. I know there's problems in other areas. I'm not the mayor and we're not the city council of other areas. We are the city of New Iberia. It's our job to help us reach our potential. Any problem anywhere in New Iberia is our problem. Yeah, we all represent districts, but globally, when you sit at this table, it takes 4 votes to do anything. You can't move the ball forward without 4 votes. It takes all of us who represent many diverse people from many areas of our town. If we don't pull together, we're not going to succeed. If we don't get a handle on our crime issue, we're not going to succeed. We have all the potential in the world. This is not a personal issue. It's not about the sheriffs. We've got some great deputies. It's not about the sheriff. It's not about Dan and I who disagree. All right? It's not about that. It's about the future of our community, and it's about where we head. It's about our future. It's about law enforcement. The issue is constantly about money. Unfortunately, I hate taxes. This will be the first tax I ever voted for in my life, okay? Because it's that, yeah, I voted no for every tax ever. I'm just telling you the truth. Because it's that important. We need this money because I can't do it any other way. If I had a way to bring back a police department without passing the tax, I would have tried to do it already. But I don't. It costs money. And you know what? The sheriff will tell you. The deputies will tell you, we need more. Well, to get more, it's going to cost more money. Well, if we do it, and I have a council that's budgetary, and that's your main function as a council, we're going to control the cost because I can't spend and you can't spend what we don't budget. So we're going to have to control those costs. But by controlling the cost and by having hands-on, you own your house or you rent your house? Most people want to own their house. Okay? Same thing on my law enforcement. I want to own it. Is it more responsibility? Yeah. I'm going to have 80 employees. I don't need 80 more employees. I got 187 already. But you know what? It's that important. It's that important that we need to take this on. We need to offer it to our voters, come up with a concise plan, which I think we have, and say, here it is, and this is how we're going to do it. And then we leave it up to the voters. I'll respect whatever decision we have. But I don't have a backup plan. I don't have another plan on October the 15th if this tax doesn't pass and my developers call me and say, well, you told me all along you were getting the police department and I believed you, now you're not. Well, how else are you going to solve your crime problem? I don't have that answer. When it comes next year and it's time to renew a contract, if this tax doesn't pass, I don't know what the new price is going to be. I can tell you what I can pay. I can pay $6.4 million. Comes out of that 1960 tax and it's all we got. Well, does that mean I'm going to get less services because they can't go up on the price? Does that mean the price is going to be higher and I don't know how I'm going to pay for it? I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you that this is a solution and it's a plan. We've put it out there, 50 cents on $100, and you, the citizens, need to decide. And I pray and hope that we get to do this. It's a lot of work, it's a lot more responsibility, and it's a whole lot of issues that come with it. But the positive that we can get out of the deal and the way that we can set our town back on the path that it needs to be on. I want to be the town we used to be, you know? I want to be the town that's safe. I want to be the town that you can walk. I want to see cops walking a beat. I want to see a bike patrol. I want to embrace community policing. That's what's needed. You want to get in your community? I want to go to the high schools and recruit kids to be a cop. There's the most community policing you could ever have. Give me a kid from Nish or Westgate or Catholic High that patrols his own neighborhood. You know, where I grew up. That's about as community policing as you can get. We do have to build trust. We do have to get out in the community. But it's not about what we have. It's about having more. And the only way you're going to get more, unfortunately, is to pay for it. So that kind of sums it up. I'd love to see you all at the town hall meeting on Thursday, and we'll be making our rounds and trying to get the information out so our citizens can make the most informed decision. Thank you all. Thanks for this discussion. It was good. Madam Clerk, next item.
Miss Natalie Lopez, letter to citizens addressing the sweeping, blowing, depositing paper, trash, litter, yard waste, including grass clippings into streets and drains.
Okay, this is something I had talked to the mayor about because about a month ago, someone called me and they said, you know, what can you do? My neighbor keeps blowing his grass in the street and it's driving me nuts. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna call the city and tell them to send them a letter. So I called and they were like, we don't do that. And then I followed up with Freddie and he was like, no, we can do that. And I was like, yes, I think that is at least a first step. We don't have city police to go enforce our don't blow your grass in the street ordinance. But I think a lot of people just don't pay attention and aren't, politically astute and, don't necessarily watch our meetings. And I don't expect, Corey Vaughn to write a huge article in the Daily Iberian about grass, how to cut your grass and how to blow your grass. I can't.
He might.
Maybe after tonight he will, just to blow my brains. But so I was like, maybe if we can at least send them a letter, a nice letter saying, you're blowing yourself in the street, please stop doing it, maybe it'll work. So that's step one, and that's what we're gonna try to do. So if anyone knows or sees a yard with a bunch of grass in front of it, please just call City Hall, 369-2300, extension 1, and tell them the address, and we will politely send them a letter to please stop doing so. Because, if you're gonna be proactive enough to call me screaming and hollering and pump your drains 5 minutes before Harvey's about to hit, be proactive enough to call me and tell me the address where the grass in the street is, and I'll call it in for you if you'd rather do that.
Great. I thought that was a great idea, and we're going to pursue it. They'll get a copy of the letter and a copy of the ordinance, because maybe they just don't know. We're going to take that stand that, hey, maybe they never thought about it. Yes.
A few years ago, and Jimmy might remember, everybody has to get a permit to do business in the city, and especially those people that do cut grass for a living. We suggested at one time to send this ordinance with their license for them to be aware of what the law is. Because people do it, like, I'm out of work, I'm going to start cutting grass. Probably half of them don't have a license to cut grass, but we need to let them know that we that we do have an ordinance on the books
Okay.
for that.
Well, we got a good letter now. We use it for that.
Yeah,
That's a good
that's
idea.
good.
That's
Appreciate
a good
it.
idea. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any further discussion? Well, if you see it, you got a new tool. And, I thought this was great, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. You think of something else, call me up. We'll try to put as many tools in the tool bag we can to handle all these small issues. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. All right, councilman's remarks. Let's run around the table. We'll start with Dustin.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm not used to getting started on this end.
I know.
He's so far over there.
Just trying to help you there, bro.
But yeah, thank you. We just talked about the grass deal. So when it comes to preparing for all the storms that we're having, we need to just get out there and be proactive and make sure drainage are clean and all that stuff. 'Cause a lot of our neighborhoods and drainages are old, very old, and they just can't hold up to when someone's leaving grass in the street or whatever it is. Any foreign object, you need to be proactive in that. So that's about all I have to say.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll pass.
Okay, great.
Neighborhood Watch for Districts 4 and 5 this month. It's on the 4th Thursday instead of the 3rd Thursday, which will be September the 28th. And we will have our mayor to do his presentation for those who attend. It's at 6 o'clock at the Slyman. Please be present.
Thank you.
Mayor, we mentioned earlier, and I want to mention again about Mr. Ernest Freyu. He was the parish president 4 years, and he was a man that wasn't really in the public, but his word meant a lot. He did do things to help the parish and the city that people probably never would know about. We need to pray for his family and the service he gave to not only the veteran, he's a veteran is this community, and he was from the old school. What he said he did, and what he said he meant, and he was pretty frank about his comments. But he was a great guy, and we're gonna miss him. And second thing I want to do is thank the mayor, because during the that hurricane and the flooding, I was around town cleaning the drainages. He was. I would call him. He called Public Works. I'd like to thank Public Works and Mr. Leroy. They took care of it as soon as you seen a problem. They got there. Even though it was a state problem, Mr. Leroy got on the phone, got the state people out there. It was a very, very good relationship. Mayor, I want to let you know it really worked out. you know, I almost lost a Croc shoe in the sewer, but I was getting city reinforcement. But other than that,
Yeah.
I think something so small meant so much when you're out there trying to help people or help an area. And so thank you and Mr. Leroy and Public Works because they were on the spot. Thank you.
Mr. Broussard.
Mr. Jimmy, you're not forgotten about. Ms. Jane, you're not forgotten about. Your whole department's not forgotten about. We thank y'all every day for what y'all do. We call in. When you started, Jimmy, you had to go get these licenses and everything. We didn't forget that. It's hard to replace a person with stuff, yeah. But I want to thank y'all, that department, because we call every day on problems. And y'all been helping us a lot. So you're not forgotten about. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy and Ms. Jane and the whole department.
Great. Thank you. Roland.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier. I didn't know about past parish president Ernest Free's passing. Definitely want to give condolences. But also our neighbors down the street in Lafayette. I don't know. I didn't hear the details, but I heard Sheriff Mark Garbers. They found her. She's safe.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank God for that. So then I'll talk about in October the 4th, first Wednesday of October at 6 o'clock. I'll be we'll be doing a town hall meeting in the West End at 6 o'clock. We want the mayor there to talk about the tax, but we'll be talking about some of the issues that we face in District 2. So that's October the 4th, and I'll be announcing it because I want my district involved as much as they want to be.
Great. Natalie?
I just want to make a little quick short story announcement that I am I'm always proud of New Iberia, but I was extra proud this past week with the storm. Number one, because I didn't see one thing on social media of a car floating away or people getting drenched by people driving too fast. You know, it seemed like everyone was very respectful this time. I really got that impression, which is important because the sheriff's office does not have time to be playing games when a real emergency is coming. But my little short story is that, and I'm going to touch on this because Marlon said earlier, people say they don't want to ride down Hopkins Street. Well, sometimes I go down Hopkins or Ann just for the life of it, just because, you know, because I like to be worldly, and anyone who knows me well enough knows that it's true. Anyone who knows me well enough knows that I'm very blind to color. But I went to go down Lewis Street and it was blocked off, which was very proactive on the city's part. So I turned around, I had to get my son. So I'm gonna go down Ann. There was about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet on Ann. So I went down Ann. While I was in the middle of Ann, the bumper on my rental car came off, like the plastic part, and there was nothing I can do. So I just kept going. So about 2 hours later, after the rain had stopped, I said, I had to go to my dad. I said, I'm gonna go ride down Ann and see if I can find that bumper because I don't wanna pay for a bumper. Not only did I run into one person that had saw my bumper, I ran into two. One guy had seen it, drug it off the drain. Another guy went as far enough to pull it from the drain down the road, really like out of the way so no one would run over it. And another person told me they saw Public Works pick it up.
That's what flooded the area. Bumps it.
So, you know, it was just the kindness and, you know, that they went out of their way to clean their own street and pull it aside, and Public Works still can't pick it up, and that they noticed that Public Works was out there doing their job. So needless to say, the bumper is not salvageable. Public Works brought it to us in Patu. But I was just very, very proud of, you know, the humankind that we have living here. And just because people live on Ann Street doesn't mean that they are a certain way. 2 people went out their way for me. So I appreciate that, and I just wanted to share it.
Great. The rest of the story is Natalie called me, and I called Mr. Leroy. I said, where's the bumper? It had been thrown in a dumpster, so Public Works had to climb in the dumpster and get the bumper. So this was the never-ending story. I have
You know how much money it costs to city?
I have a few announcements. I also have to acknowledge the loss of Mr. Ernest. I had a kind of a special relationship with Mr. Ernest because I ran against him. If you want to get to know somebody, run against him. I really didn't know Mr. Ernest. Mr. Ernest was a fine guy. Dan and I have those experiences too. But anyway, Mr. Ernest was a fine man, and it's quite a loss. And when you think of the many, many years, not only as our parish president, but working for parish government, all the things he did in the community, it is a huge loss for our community. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. The next town hall meeting, like I said, Thursday night, hope to see you there, 6 o'clock in the West End. Next city council meeting is September the 19th. We have budget meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday. We still have adjudicated property, and I also could not sit up here. You know, Dan and I touched on the storm. Dan and I were on the phone with each other. I talked to most of you all during the event. We all checked in. We all were checking our districts. Everyone in this council was engaged and working. I have to thank, I might miss some, but I have to thank every department. We took the parks. The parks went to work with Public Works, cleaning drains. That was something that we hadn't done before. We had extra troopers out there cleaning drains and being proactive. The sewer department was out there working. You know, those guys were busting it when, you know, the fire department, every department. My staff came in on days that we were off. You know, everybody pulled together, and, you know, thank God the event was not, you know, could have been worse. Thank God we dodged a bullet. We ended up in that little split, so our rain wasn't nearly that bad. But going and interacting with the parish at all of the hurricane meetings, I watched them run a professional operation on that front. Just, I felt really good that after those 3 days that we were shut down but still working our butts off, just how good a team we have between this council, between our government, between all of our department heads, and all our workers. I mean, I rode around town, you know, from sandbagging to cleaning drains. I saw people up to their knees in water just working, cleaning drains, keeping them open from every department. Well, I don't know how often that's happened. I've only been here for 8 months, but I'm very proud of everybody who pulled together and, you know, we'll get through this and had that attitude of, you know, we're going to beat this thing. Let's hope the next one ain't coming. But if it is, we'll just man up and do it again. But I can't thank y'all enough. I was very proud to be the mayor of this city, you know, through that event. That's about it. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
The adjudicated properties.
Second.
Cool.
We said it already?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Don't forget
Great.
to come next week. We got meetings.
Okay, great.
Next
Thank y'all.
Yes.
2 budget meetings.
Okay.
People can't bring that